Presentation of dialogue on Idaho Public Television is made possible through the generous support of the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore family's legacy of building the great state of Idaho.
Coming up, ever want to explore some of the beautiful backcountry around you but didn't know where to go and how to start? Or maybe you enjoy hiking but are looking for new challenges. Well, stray no further, I talk with outdoor writer Michael Lanza about some of the best hikes in the Rocky Mountain West, even if you've got some little ones in tow. That's Dialogue next. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Dialogue. I'm Marcia Franklin. Those of us who live in the Rocky Mountain West are fortunate to be surrounded by natural beauty that many people can only imagine. But how many of us spend much time exploring those landscapes in depth? My guest today makes it his business to do just that and to encourage others to do the same. Michael Lanza is a Boise-based outdoor writer whose work regularly appears in major magazines. For more than a decade, he was the Northwest editor for Backpacker magazine, penning articles about the best places to hike, bike, climb, and paddle in our region. Lanza is also the author of several guides about hiking. Another one of his books, Before They're Gone, recounts a year-long series of backcountry adventures he took with his wife and young children through 11 national parks threatened by climate change. And Michael Lanza joins me now, not only to talk about that experience, but also to recommend some hiking trips for all of us. Welcome.
Thanks, Marcia. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. Now, a little bit about yourself. I grew up hiking and haven't done it for a while. You're kind of the opposite. You didn't really grow up hiking and being in the backcountry, and then found it a little bit later and just have been doing it ever since.
Yeah, my family didn't camp, hike, that kind of thing when I was a kid, but I had friends, in and after college who were hikers and took me hiking. And I'm from New England originally, and I still remember a first hike that some friends took me on, and I'm not even sure what peak it was, some little mountain in New Hampshire with a rocky summit, and I just remember the feeling of getting to the top of this thing. It was probably just a couple hours hike up to the top, and the wind was blowing and you could see so far, and it just, this feeling hit me then that this is going to be a big part of my life from now on. I just knew it.
Well, you went into journalism, you worked at newspapers in the region, but started writing about the outdoors and then ended up with a column, as I understand it, that kind of got you into this specialty.
Yeah, a little more than 20 years ago, I started syndicating a column in some newspapers around New England, about 20 papers, and I wrote about the New England outdoors. And I started freelancing for some magazines around that time too, including Backpacker, where it was a good fit for me. They liked me, and I just grew my relationship working with them and got to travel all around the country and many places in the world, actually. Yeah.
Well, from the outside, people might say, oh my God, it's the dream job. I get to hike around the world and paddle and write about it, but it's got to be really hard work.
Yeah, it was my dream job, to be honest with you, and it's still, a lot of it's mundane. You take wonderful, it's probably like your job in a way. You do some really fascinating travel and other things, and you meet great people, and a lot of time you spend at a computer writing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, you're also a gear tester, and we'll get more into this in an extra that we'll tape. What is that? Do they send you all different types of gear, or do you go to big conferences and test it out? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, there is actually a twice annual major trade show.
Yeah, I've been to one in Salt Lake.
In Salt Lake City, which I've been to, I don't know, a couple dozen times. But I've gotten to know the people who work for the major companies in the outdoor industry and the smaller companies. And I've tested gear for Backpacker for many years. And
do you go out and sleep in a sleeping bag for a couple nights, or what do you do?
Or more than that.
Yeah.
Usually go backpacking with a lot of stuff for a couple of trips. So I test out everything from, you should see my gear room.
Do you get to keep it then?
A lot of stuff gets transferred between different testers, but a lot of stuff you end up with. Wow. Certainly like clothing and boots. Nobody wants your boots after you've used them. Right.
So what do you see as one of the greatest advances in gear and technology for the backcountry?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the the emphasis has been in the outdoor industry is making gear lighter and stronger. You know, the whole light and fast concept.
I had something that was made by one of those companies and it fell apart.
Well, that's one of the trade-offs at times. Some of the stuff that's really light is not quite as durable. I was speaking with an outfitter just the other day who does trips on the Middle Fork, and they're using tents with their clients all the time. And if you really, you know, you're unzipping and zipping a tent a lot of times during the summer, you might want something that's a little more durable. But that lighter gear has gotten stronger in many ways because tent poles are made with lighter materials, but you know, carbon fiber is really strong stuff.
So that you see that as one
That's
of the
a major
advances
innovation.
is lightness. Now, as part of your article writing, you know, your journalism, you started seeing a lot about climate change and how it was affecting
Right.
the backcountry, but our national parks in particular. And that was one of the impetus for writing Before They're Gone, the book I mentioned. Kind of a double entendre in a way. The book is about before they're gone in the sense of before some of these ecosystems go away because of climate change, but also from a personal standpoint, before they're gone, before your kids are grown and gone,
Right.
you wanted to take this big trip. As I mentioned in my introduction, something like 11
national parks in a
parks
year. That's
in,
right.
in a year, not the whole year, you weren't hiking the whole year, but tell me a little bit about that idea and what burned a hole in your pocket to make you want to do it so badly.
In April of 2007, I was on a magazine assignment for Backpacker Magazine. We were actually doing a special issue later that year about climate change and its impacts on wilderness and national parks. And so I went up to Glacier National Park in Montana and met with a researcher up there who's become fairly well known. His name is Dan Faegre. And he was the first person, his team was the first group to predict that the glaciers of Glacier National Park would disappear. In fact, his climate models first showed them being gone by 2030 and then subsequently said that change is happening faster and they could be gone by the year 2020. And my kids were born in 2000 and 2003, and I thought, you know, my kids will be teenagers or barely out of their teens when these glaciers that have been around for 7,000 years or more may be gone. And as I started to do more research, I realized how much change, what a radical level of change is taking place in many of our national parks, places we cherish.
Yeah, and that we think are protected in a sense.
Exactly right.
But they're not protected from
Exactly right.
natural changes.
They're not ultimately protected from the greatest changes taking place on the planet. So I wanted to take my kids to many of these places and to share these experiences in places that have meant a lot to me and my wife before they'll be radically different by the time my kids are my age.
And we can't go through all of them right here, but some of them included the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Mount Rainier, Joshua Tree, and the Everglades.
Yeah.
They were picked, were they not, seasonally, so that you could also look at these parks throughout the year.
Yes.
The changes that were happening.
Right. We wanted to spread the travel out a bit. We did 6 of the 11 trips in the summer, so it was a very busy summer. But the Everglades we paddled in February. Yellowstone we actually cross-country skied in January. Joshua Tree was November. And Yosemite was in June. Yosemite's a great story, and we're seeing now what's going on in California with the drought and the impact it's having economically on people's livelihoods. That's really a window into our fast approaching future. The Sierra snowpack is greatly reducing. Yosemite's famous for its giant waterfalls. Yosemite Falls is over 2,400 feet tall. It's 6th tallest in the world. We hiked to the top of it with our kids, and it was really quite a beautiful experience. But as precipitation falls, more as rain in the winter and less as snow, that snowpack diminishes. And that snowpack has always been a giant reservoir for California.
So the falls could not be there in the future.
Those waterfalls will peak and diminish much earlier in the year.
And I was fascinated to read in Joshua Tree that because of the way that it's difficult for the trees to propagate, that
Right.
we could lose the iconic part of Joshua Tree. We could lose the iconic part of Glacier.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, talk about protection and protected, you also talk about children in our era right now, and you say people would stop and stare at your kids. As a culture, we set low expectations of them physically and their relationship with the natural world. People were not used to seeing children as young as yours. How old were they again?
They were 9 and 7.
9 and 7, and you have a fabulous photograph of them on the cover holding their stuffed animals as they hiked, and people have asked you if you set that photo up, and no, you really didn't. They really did hike with their stuffed animals. They were that young.
Yeah, they always did.
Yeah, but people were you know, probably a range of bemusement to kind of shock that these young children were on these heavy-duty trails. And you and your wife thought about that a lot, but ultimately decided they were up for it.
Yeah, there were some difficult decisions. We backpacked in Glacier National Park with them where there were grizzly bears. We sea kayaked for 5 days in Glacier Bay, Alaska, where there are brown bears, you know, Alaska's equivalent of the grizzly, and killer whales, orcas in the water.
Alligators in the Everglades.
And alligators in the Everglades, which are big and scary looking things, you know, when you see a 12-foot alligator swimming toward your little plastic boat. But yeah, you know, we would do what we could to control hazards. And really, I mean, we see that today's generation of kids spending much less time outdoors than when we were growing up, and a lot of time indoors.
And I spend every summer hiking.
Yeah, I would spend my days outside.
Yeah.
And, you know, kids don't today. And I think that's actually a greater danger to them than paddling in the Everglades or hiking in the mountains somewhere.
Well, certainly if the next generation is to solve or try to work on these issues regarding climate change, they need to first get out and see it. And if they're not seeing it, then it won't hit home.
And I think, you know, today's generation, we're in danger of losing that connection to nature and the outdoors. When kids don't have it in their daily life, when they have to seek it elsewhere only occasionally, how do we raise that next generation of conservationists and people who appreciate our national parks?
Still, it's not easy. There's another quote from your book that I really liked. It said, hiking with kids is a bit like trying to predict the wind. Things can seem to be in your favor or not, and then abruptly reverse direction. You tried to read them like a mariner, anticipating their needs like you would the wind.
Yeah.
They can have a meltdown and just, you know, I mean, it's, and you have tips in your other books about hiking with kids, which is, you know, they need more water and food. You need to stop more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the biggest lesson I've learned as a parent, is that usually if your kids are grumpy, they're hungry. And they just
usually if a person is grumpy.
Well, it's a good clue for anybody. But kids get grumpy faster because they get hungry faster.
Yeah. Well, in the end, they probably won't dial in for a while on the climate change part. It's just this majesty and everything of what was around them. They'll have experiences of just being with you and your wife and that closeness.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest lessons for me. You know, the book was inspired by the climate change story, which is, as you've read, it's interwoven through it. But really, as we took these trips, I realized this book, and I think any reader would see, it's really more about the experiences we shared as a family, and profoundly affected me because of how much closer it brings you together. You know, I think there's no parallel in our routine lives at home that compares to being out in the wilderness for days with your family, because there's nothing else to do out there but interact with each other. I mean, the kids would play in the creek, you know, we do all that kind of stuff, but we spend hours a day talking to each other. And who does that at home, right?
Right. And you're still doing it. I know we booked this interview in between other trips you're taking with them. Yeah. Well, not all trips have to be as intense as the one that we just described. Right. There are beautiful things to do in our area with kids, without kids. Let's talk about some. First, Yellowstone. Amazing national park, not too far away, and people might go to the, you know, Old Faithful, whatever, but there are other places. There's the Upper Geyser Basin, for instance.
Yeah, Yellowstone, I think, is one of those places that really should be on every American's list. Certainly every Idahoan's. It's you know, a little bit of it comes into Idaho, but it's in our neighboring state, in Wyoming. Yellowstone, we first took our kids when they were like 4 and 2. It's really a wonderful place to take a young family. People of any age can go to Yellowstone and appreciate it, because so many of its classic natural features like the mini geysers are so accessible on short walks.
And the Upper Geyser Basin gives you some more of those.
Right. You go to Old Faithful, you can walk 5 minutes from the parking lot and see Old Faithful erupt, but you can walk a 2 or 3 mile loop or shorter around the Upper Geyser Basin and see something like a quarter of the known geysers on the planet. And some will be erupting.
And the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone as well.
Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone is a wonderful place. And again, fantastic views. Artist Point is about a 5-minute walk from the parking lot. You can walk a couple of miles along the rim of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, which is, you know, just a gently undulating, almost flat trail, and have this amazing view into this 1,000-foot deep canyon.
One thing that's kept me from going back to Yellowstone is the idea that I'm going to be stuck in traffic and behind lots and lots of cars. Are there better times to go? You know, people always say before Memorial Day and after Labor Day. But is that the case?
Which is true.
The best
and in
time
fact,
to go?
yeah, May's a wonderful time to go. Right after they open up they clear the snow from the roads in the park. It's a great time to go. There's certainly not as many people, and there's a lot of wildlife out. You'll probably see bears in May.
And you know, in the book, you guys cross country skied. That's another thing to do.
Winter is my favorite season in Yellowstone. The cross country skiing, we took our kids when they were very young. It's quite accessible. You can also walk through the Upper Geyser Basin because the heat from thermal features has melted a lot of the snow away. But much of the wildlife comes down to the valleys in the winter because the mountains are buried in snow. So you will see actually more wildlife, except for bears, in the winter in Yellowstone.
Another place that people may kind of hop over and not think about, but it's fun to go to, is City of Rocks.
Yeah, one of my favorite places in Idaho. Great place to camp. I just booked a campsite this morning to go with my daughter in early July.
You have a father-daughter trip every year.
Yeah, and I do a father-son trip. My daughter wants to go to the City of Rocks. Known for rock climbing, but really a great place for anybody to camp. Wonderful place to shoot photographs. Aspens there in the creek valleys are beautiful in late September, early October, and it's the high desert, so it's you know, it's hot in midsummer, but it's really quite pleasant in spring and fall.
You don't need to be a rock climber to go, right?
You certainly don't. Okay. It's got lots of trails.
Now, the Sawtooths.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I live in Idaho. I never get tired of looking at the Sawtooth Range. However, I don't go into it enough, which is my bad. I need to fix that. But you want to recommend a couple hikes there. One hike I have been on and loved, which is the hike to Alice Lake. I did take a young girl that I was mentoring at the time there, and it was just a great hike and a great overnight to Alice Lake.
Yeah, Alice Lake is one of those iconic spots in the Sawtooths because you've got this fairly large lake with just this arc of jagged, snowy peaks reflected in it. Absolutely beautiful. You can hike to the lake and hike back out, as you know, or you can do this loop and go over a 9,000-foot pass, which I took my son over when he was 6 years old on a backpacking trip, and come down to the other side to Toxaway Lake, which is equally gorgeous and a wonderful place to camp.
And if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can do the hike to Hell Roaring and past that to Imogene, right?
Yes, that's right.
Also beautiful.
Another great spot. Imogene's a bigger lake. It's got some islands in it. Really, the Sawtooths is one of those mountain ranges. I've been in it many times, and I can remember so many times going in and saying to myself, this place is just even more beautiful than any place else I've seen in the Sawtooths. And it happens all the time because it's that kind of place.
Other people from other countries are just stunned and staggered when they see what we have here. Nearby, but also overlooked, are the White Clouds. And you'd like to recommend going to the Big Boulder Lakes.
Yeah,
the White Clouds.
Big Boulder Lakes, a more remote part of the White Clouds. You have to drive up to the East Fork of the Salmon, and but a beautiful.
Which is what, past Challis near Clayton?
Yeah,
okay.
Between Clayton, near Clayton, okay. And south of Challis a bit. But the Big Boulder Lakes are a bit more remote. I backpacked in there a couple summers ago with my son, and it's a good day's hike to get in there, and then you can explore around, hike up some of the peaks.
Kind of stark in there, isn't it?
It's up high, so those are 10,000-foot peaks, and they're quite rocky, and there's not a lot of vegetation on it, so it is quite
mountain
stark.
Goats.
You'll see some mountain goats and beautiful lakes in there, actually.
Okay. The Tetons. Now, having read your, your books and looked at your photos, now I'm inspired to go, which I haven't, into the Tetons. You'd like to recommend first of all, there's a easier hike to Garnet Canyon.
Garnet Canyon, I day hiked in yet again last Sunday. There was quite a bit of snow still. But the Tetons I think I've been to about 20 times, one of my favorite mountain ranges. Garnet Canyon is this just kind of unbelievable mountain circuit. The Grand Tetons up here, the Middle Teton, the South Teton. You're just surrounded by these spires and peaks that rise thousands of feet above you. And there's a pretty good-sized glacier there, in meadows filled with wildflowers. So
I'm leaving right now.
Reachable on a day hike, though.
And then also the Teton Crest Trail to something called Death Canyon Shelf, which sounds a little scary, but I've seen the pictures and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, this 9,500-foot long plateau that's up high with just incredible mountain views. A backpacking trip there.
Now, over on the western side, Seven Devils, which is on the Idaho-Oregon border, going to Sheep Lake, and if you want, the Seven Devils Loop Trail.
Yeah, the Seven Devils Loop Trail is, I believe, about 28 miles, goes around the mountains. So it's a backpacking trip. And there are side trails off of it that go up to the higher lakes, like Sheep Lake, which is a beautiful lake right below the He Devil and She Devil, the two biggest peaks there.
I would imagine this is a hot area to be in, or am I wrong?
Well, you drive up to over 8,000 feet at the trailhead. So
I'm thinking
you really
of Hell's Canyon, which is below it.
Yeah, deepest gorge in North America. So you've got about 8,000 foot relief there. So when the bottom of the canyon's really hot, the mountains are much cooler.
But again, people don't have to do the whole 28 miles. They can go partway.
Yeah. Day hike, do a shorter overnight trip to Sheep Lake. The Hansen Lakes are a reasonable day hike, actually, and popular for fishermen.
Now, one area that I know both of us enjoy, and I wanted to make sure that we included, is also an area that people may not think so much about. Also, on the over in Oregon, the Eagle Cap Wilderness.
Yeah.
To me, these look like, and I think they've been called like the Little Alps, or like the Matterhorn.
Right.
Just gorgeous. Sometimes a little crowded, but you're recommending a 5-day, 40-mile loop. Again, don't have to do it all. That starts at the East Eagle trailhead and goes through that whole
which
area.
is on the south side of the mountains. So
more like halfway Oregon.
Yeah, exactly. Just beyond halfway, or a bit north of Baker City, which people may
What do you like
familiar
about
with.
the Eagle Cap Wilderness?
The Eagle Cap Wilderness, there are a couple of popular spots, but really much of it just isn't that overrun by hikers. And in a way, they remind me, you say the Alps, they do remind me a bit of the Alps, or the Sierra in California, because you've got these big, jagged granite peaks, beautiful lakes, high passes, mountain goats, that sort of range of western
I remember
wildlife.
seeing all different types of rock as I walked on my hike, different colors and everything.
Yeah.
And there's a tram, there's a Wallowa tram that you can take if you don't have time to hike, that'll take you up high. And finally, the granddaddy or grandmama of them all, Glacier. This seems a little intimidating to me to go to Glacier because of the grizzly bears, but I really want to. You recommend, again, this Highline Trail north from Logan Pass, and go as far as you want,
Exactly, yeah. It's maybe the best known trail in Glacier, but you can drive or take the free park shuttle bus up to Logan Pass and just get on that trail and start walking north, walk as far as you like, turn around and come back, and you're above tree line the whole time. You've got these expansive views of the Northern Rockies, which are really, in Glacier, they're not quite like any of the mountains anywhere. They're just these huge sheer faces of rock with pointed spires on top of them. It's really a one-of-a-kind place.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're so fortunate to live in this region. But, you can also do something small. You can, here in Boise, you can go in the foothills. I know there's trails up in North Idaho, too, leading out of Coeur d'Alene. You can, the point is just to get out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. No matter what your age, of course, but if you're taking young kids, go locally. Stay close to home. Make it easy. It's good. It's wonderful to live in a place like we do in Idaho, where we do have easy access to the outdoors. Many Idahoans, it's a short walk or drive from their homes. Many Americans don't have that like we do here in Idaho. So we live in a special place, and it behooves us all to take advantage of it.
Now, I mentioned we're gonna tape an extra that'll be available online on our streaming site, which I'll mention in a moment. We'll talk more about gear and planning for a hike at that time, but just broadly, what do you think, what's the biggest mistake people make, or maybe unwarranted fear they have about getting out?
Yeah, that's a good question. The unfamiliar can seem a little scary to us sometimes, right? But I think what I would tell people is many of these places, first of all, today you can get a lot of information right from your home computer about these places and find out what it's like. And there's probably a recommended gear list or recommended trails and lots of information at your fingertips before you leave home. That's always a great first step to take. But, you know, like I said, many of these parks, Yellowstone, Mount Rainier, which is a day's drive from many Idahoans or less, they have very accessible trails that are
and a lot of information and people that can help
right,
you.
Right.
It's your tax dollars.
Yeah,
that's
you
paying
can
for
take
that.
a ranger-led hike. You can find guides that work in these places. Easy trails that are very well marked.
Or we can check out your website, thebigoutside.com,
Absolutely.
for ideas and tips. Any other websites you recommend as well?
The National Park Service website, yeah. Search on those sites. Idaho Parks and Recreation has a very good website with information about its parks.
What's next for you? Do you think you'll jump in and write another book after having written this one and the guidebooks?
Yes, I certainly would like to write another book about taking my kids on more adventures, actually. And the next trip my family will take is we're floating the Middle Fork of the Salmon River.
By yourselves or with a group of people?
We're on a guided trip, actually, with a large group of friends and family. Very excited about it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, in our extra, we will talk more about other websites and books that people might want to take a look at to learn more about hiking. Thanks so much for taking the time to do it. It goes so quickly.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Marcia. I had a great time.
I'll make sure to at least put one trip on the calendar, right? That's what I'm...
That's a good goal.
I've gotten out of this is just do it.
Perfect.
I bought my first backpack in 20 years or something this year.
Excellent.
So
it's a good start.
I'm on it. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. You've been listening to Michael Lanza. He's an outdoor writer based in Boise. As I mentioned, his website is thebigoutside.com. If you'd like to watch this program again or the extra we taped with Michael's hiking and backpacking tips, check out our video streaming site. Just go to video.idahoptv.org and click on Dialogue. For Dialogue, I'm Marcia Franklin. Thanks for tuning in.
Presentation of Dialogue on Idaho Public Television is made possible through the generous support of the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore family's legacy of building the great state of Idaho. Check out our website, become a friend on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter.